Good morning everybody, this is Miss Xiao here. Today I would like to do a short summary with regards to the review of the topic of angles taken from Primary 3. This will be a good revision before you embark on the topic of angles in Primary 4. So just to recap, what is an angle? Now, angle refers to the space between two lines that cross each other. In mathematics, when you have two lines that cross each other, it's called an intersection. However, here I will use the word cross, right? So if you see this figure, there is one line here, I call it line 1, and there is another line here, I call it line 2. Line 1 and line 2 crosses each other at this particular point here. Yeah? Now, when two lines cross each other, this point where they meet is actually what you call a vertex. So this is one vertex. If you have a shape with many vertices, it's called vertices. Okay? Now, you realize that there is this space here in between. This is an angle. So an angle can be measured in degrees or radian. In primary school, we will use degrees, and in secondary school, we'll move on to both degrees and radian. Both are units of angles. Okay, so you might wonder, how do I measure an angle? Well, in primary 4 this year, you will use this tool called a protractor to measure angles, and I will teach you how to. Moving on, let's take a look at the second point. Now, angles can be big and angles can be small. If we were to say that an angle is big, or an angle is small, or an angle is medium size, an angle is large size, it's kind of unclear how big is big and how small is small. So perhaps a more accurate way or more precise way of measuring or describing angles would be with reference to something called a right angle. Now, what is a right angle? A right angle refers to an angle. Okay, remember, angle is where two lines meet to form a certain space between them. Now, a right angle is this space that is measured by the protractor to 90 degrees. Now, let me take the protractor here and show you what 90 degrees is. So in order to show that something is a right angle, an angle is a right angle, at the center of the protractor, which is at this point, I am going to place it where the vertex is. Okay, the vertex of the angle. Let's say I would like to look at this particular angle over here. Alright? Now I place it here. And you realize that if I were to look at the protractor, my angle spans from 0 all the way to this point, which says 90. So this shows that it is 90 degrees. I know in primary 3 you probably did not use the protractor. Another way of showing that something is 90 degrees is to take, for example, the corner of a ruler, you place it over here. Yeah, if the two lines match the two ends of the ruler here, yes, it's 90 degrees. You could do that using a card as well. For example, a card here, okay, yes. Or the side of a page of a book, the edges of a book, that could also prove to you if two lines meet each other at a right angle. Alright, now that I talk about a right angle, yes, this is what I call a right angle, and the symbol to mark a right angle is something like that. Okay, so whenever you see this particular symbol, this is 90 degrees or a right angle. Now, because we know what a right angle is now, we can describe angles by saying that it is greater than a right angle or smaller than a right angle. Now we can tell for sure. Now, let's take a look at these two examples here. First example, can we tell whether this particular angle here is greater than a right angle or smaller than a right angle? Now, if we do not have a protractor, it's fine. Let's use the edge of a ruler. Place against here. So one edge of the ruler will be against one of the lines. And let's see, if my second line ends up here, this angle would be a right angle. But hey, the other line seems to come out a little. This looks like the angle is greater than a right angle. Yeah, so this is actually greater than a right angle. Now, let's take a look at the second example. This. Perhaps some of you might be able to guess by just looking at it whether it's greater than a right angle or smaller than a right angle. However, for the benefit of convincing ourselves through evidence, let's use the edge of a ruler. So, again, this is where I want to place the corner of my ruler at. One edge against one of the lines, and hey, let's see. To make a right angle, the other line has to match this side of the ruler. But you realize that the other line seems to be coming in, yeah? So it does not look like this is a right angle, definitely. It does not look like it's greater than a right angle. This is smaller than a right angle. So I'm going to write it down, the description being smaller than a right angle. Like that. Okay, now my final 2 points. There is another name if I want to use to describe angles that are greater than a right angle. You realize greater than a right angle, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words to describe this particular angle. Is there one word that we can use to replace angles greater than a right angle? Well, yes, there is. So in mathematics, we will call it an obtuse angle. Okay, let me write it for you. Obtuse angle. So whenever your teacher talks about an angle that is obtuse, relate it to it being greater than a right angle. For angles that are smaller than a right angle, we call it an acute angle. So this is how we write the word acute. I come to the end of the short summary of primary 3 angles. Hope that this is a good revision for you.